Lord Kurt and I are out here. He beat me out here, but he's been welding some stuff up. And today, I mean, I'm hoping that we get this thing running pretty much in this video. And so we're gonna go ham. Young Swag and I just got back from vacation, so we're refreshed. I'm ready to get back at it. And so let's do it. So after a week of letting that rust stuff do its magic, there's like 100% zero rust on any of this. That is insane.
Except for where I just welded on.
Except where it just welded on, of course. But man, it's looking amazing. Oh, 911, man. That's how you know it's a good weld, is when you catch stuff on fire.
Powder coating. Currently putting the contactor in, which just acts as a kill switch. When you kill the battery, it connects, or you kill the ignition. This connects here, and it disconnects the battery. So I'm gonna mount this right here, which then will run from the battery positive up and then positive to the controller. And so that's gonna sit there. I think it's ready to go. I got holes drilled. It should connect and sit just like that. So that's totally taken care of. Other piece is putting the shunt in. Allows us to measure how many amps are flowing from the battery so we can get the DC amps that are flowing. This one I gotta figure out where it's gonna go. I think I'm gonna put it right here. So just run little pieces of metal here and here. I've got to connect it with a grommet, because if I connect it with a bolt, it's going to be able to flow through the frame, not measure the amps correctly. We're getting really close. I was a little bit,
man.
Like last time we ended the video, I was like, man, it's so close, but there's so many little things that need to get done. I feel like I knocked out a lot of those little things today.
Awesome, dude.
So we can transport this stuff back to the Inja's house pretty soon.
Yes, because we got a new welder that will hopefully do the job. I mean, it's a 110 volt welder.
We don't really need much welding after this is all transported over. All that we really need is making cables, connecting cables, and with that connection point already welded on, all we gotta do is solder, crimp, and connect with nuts.
Yeah.
So it should be pretty much,
Dude.
You're looking at a 98% complete welding. We gotta do one more thing, figure out how the shunt goes, which I was gonna put on this side. So I'll probably just mount it up like that, just run some piece this way, piece that way, grommets to attach it.
Yeah, super cool, man. All right, well, now you guys know what we're up to. Let's freaking knock the rest of it out.
The powertrain is ready to be connected.
Yes.
Just waiting on Inja buying a new.
If we didn't buy one already.
I feel like we did. We gotta find it if we did.
Yeah, but if not, order a new one in.
Just bypass it.
Bypass it.
Plug it in right there.
Yeah. How's our budget doing?
Our budget is not good.
Budget? Are we over budget?
Yes, you're over
And behind
budget.
schedule?
Yes, very behind schedule.
Typical. That's why we don't even consult you.
Why do we even send papers your way? You just
Don't
hold
even-
the process up. We would have done already.
We would have been done already, yeah. We'd be riding around on the free American streets. But accountants, man, accountants. Are you still making chicken tonight, though? Yes. We're gonna load it up. As I told you guys, we actually got a welder to put at my house, and so we're close, so we don't have to drive out here all the time. But we're gonna load it all up in the Jeep right now. So we're gonna back the thing up and get it loaded up.
Sparkling water, celebratory shotgun.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm ready. Ready?
3, 2, 1.
Oh, that's bad.
So much carbonation. Better.
Wow. It's much more enjoyable if you don't do it that way. All right, well, we made it back and we started getting to work. We finally are getting this garage cleaned up. This whole thing had just a bunch of stuff in it. We're gonna put some workbenches here, finally getting it kind of sorted. When we were at Harbor Freight, we got this thing for $99 at Harbor Freight. The display they had, you could literally just shake it back and forth and it was just like swaying. It was like so flimsy, and I almost didn't buy it, but we found out that their display that they made, they didn't even tighten the screws. This thing is actually very sturdy. But tomorrow we still have to finish up this one Lord Kurt had to take off, and then this is probably gonna go over here, and we're gonna have like a whole Honda CB750 electric build right in this corner here, move the electric bikes and whatnot. It's all coming along great. Parents' house, there's like a couple more crates, couple boxes of everything. We do have to get the wheels still. Right now it's literally just the frame that we brought back, the tank, and a couple other things like the motor and controller. I'll probably make a trip out there later tonight, but I do want to get this powder coated pretty soon. We do have to make the seat pan still, so that's probably next. We will figure. Weird dilemma right now. Kurt just showed up, but I'm in kind of a weird dilemma because powder coating is going to cost a lot of money for a frame and like the tank and like all the parts. I'm assuming it's going to cost like in the $400 range. I don't know, if even more. I don't know. So it's either that or I paint it myself, which I am pretty good at doing. I painted all these bikes over here myself, and all of them have held up very, very well. So I was considering that, but then it's hard because this has already been powder coated. And so it's gonna be really hard to get the powder coating off in order to paint it. So I might just have to pay somebody to at least sandblast the frame, but at that point I might as well have them powder coat it too. So that's the weird dilemma we're in.
You do have a unique situation though, where with a gas bike, there's a lot to take off in order for it to be paintable. But with this, it's just, I mean, all the electrical stuff, obviously, like the normal signals and that kind of thing. But then it's just pull the battery out, pull the controller off, pull the motor off.
Yep.
It's super simple. You can disassemble really quickly. So if it didn't stay holding up well,
that's true. That's true.
Again, pretty quick.
Yeah. You know what? I'll probably just call the powder coating people tomorrow and just have them price it out, like just sandblasting. How much would that cost? And if they sandblasted it and painted or powder coated, how much would that be? And we'll probably just go from there. But right now it's up in the air. I don't know. We'll have to see what they say. All right. Well, we're gonna get working. What do we have to do today?
I don't know. I was just gonna, I mean, it's obviously already 8 o'clock p.m. Just roughly put cables in the right spot. See if we can get battery or the motor to reach the controller, you know, just kind of start.
All right, so we're out here getting the stuff that we need. There was a lot of stuff last night that we're like, well, we wish we would have had that, but it was out here, so, and it was too late at night to come get it. So, all right, well. We're pretty much loaded up. I think we think this is everything, but we're gonna go do a once over. How the pomegranates doing?
Good.
Dang, dude, there are a lot of them.
I mean, I'll drop some off at your house, take some from my house.
Dang. spinning, right? That's the plan. I mean, you only have a couple more
3 more wires.
things to
Over
plug
there.
in. Yeah, so he's working on that, and really since I can't do much to help him, I am starting to make sure, because Dimitri, the seller of this, actually bought a lot of aftermarket parts for it, but never really assembled it. And so we got this bike completely disassembled, and so we were assuming everything would fit up just fine, but right now I'm gonna make sure and just be checking that everything's actually gonna fit up. I tried the clip-ons onto the forks, and they fit perfectly, they fit great. There was actually one set that he had bought that I would have actually preferred to use that are like adjustable. Super cool, in my opinion. You can kind of just swivel this, so you put them on the fork, and then you can kind of adjust it however you want. But these ones were too small, so I think he bought the wrong one on these ones, and maybe it didn't have a return policy. Maybe he bought it from AliExpress or something, so he didn't send it back. But so those ones are too small, those ones fit fine. Next up, I think I'll see if the shocks will fit where they need to. I'm assuming they will. Shocks are fairly standard for motorcycles, so I'll make sure these fit up as well, and just any other parts that he has, that's kind of what I'm doing. Lord Kurt's getting that thing spinning. I think we're gonna live stream here pretty soon as well. That'll be very exciting. All right, so we just made the last solder, according to Lord Kurt. So let's just explain everything that we've done.
That we've done since the last little full update.
Yeah.
I think primarily the biggest things obviously are going to be that we have the battery cable coming up here, which connects into there. That's all taken care of. And the motor phase wires come up this side. Had to extend them, and so just went ahead and created another a ring terminal connection there with just kind of nut and bolted together with lock washers, and then soldered it shut. Temporary fix was my intention, but if it doesn't break, it doesn't break. Why change it? It's a good electrical connection. Those connect up here, the 3 phase wires. UVW, the longest one is U, and then the shortest one is W, in case you're using the same one. They're not labeled, but in case you're using the same one, you know that way. This gets powered by these cables. So the positive one, when it comes out of the battery, connects into our contactor here, which is a relay that slams shut when the key switch gives it power. It's like electromagnet inside there. That comes through here, powers the controller. Phases get dealt with. Negative runs down through our shunt, which connects right here into our amp meter, so it'll tell you how many volts and how many watts your pack is and how many is pulling through it. So there'll be a display that we'll put in there that just bolts on there. And then that runs from here back to our battery. So this is embedded within it, and that's embedded. This has to be isolated though, so we had to run grommets and rubber washers here so that it's not actually bolted to the frame, it's just supported by the frame. So that's there. The DC to DC converter we put on here, so the 12 volt system, so 102.4 volt nominal goes here, converts it to 12, and then this is able to power the system like the motorcycle battery would have in a traditional gasoline bike. The next thing, we extended the cable for the motor signal wires here. So this is like the sine, cosine sensor and temperature sensor and all that, just to control this. It's connected to the color controller here. And so we had to I made a whole diagram on a spreadsheet over there of what connected where. Throttle cable's hooked in. The only thing that I'm not 100% confident on is this switch here is supposed to be the reverse neutral forward selector. That's the way I've wired it in. However, it's labeled on the diagram to be powered by 12 volt. There's no 12 volt connection in this throttle body, like assembly. So it's powered by 5 volt for the actual throttle itself. So cross our fingers that it also powers this. If not, may have to scrap that and either get a different switch that's external or just only have forward, which most bikes only have forward anyway, so it's not a huge loss, but it'd be nice to be able to, it was already there, utilize it. Yep. So I don't know how that'll all work out necessarily, but that's the one thing that's kind of iffy. We now theoretically have everything. Well, I have the ignition, I didn't include this. This is just our temporary ignition. Reason being, we're not quite sure where the main one's gonna sit, and I didn't want to cut cables to length as a result of that. So this, all we'll do is just snip it, be able to move it wherever the other one's at. So it's all wired in, just the wrong switch. Yep. Power comes in from the DC converter. This runs to 2 places. The Kelly controller, so when you turn the switch on, the controller powers up. Second place it runs is the contactor. So I don't know if you can see super well, but underneath here, one of these red wires runs in right to there.
Yeah, I got it.
And then it goes through here, and this allows the contactor to slam shut when you turn the key, which powers the whole bike up. So you're not able to have too much power flowing until that key turns. Some does flow. If you look, I don't know if you can see past there, there's a little resistor here.
Oh yeah.
A little pre-charge resistor. They sent us a different one. This one's 1 kilo ohm. They have on there a 2 kilo ohm. It doesn't make much difference. It's just the amount of watts that flows through. What this does, not a lot of power is going to flow through, but it ensures that the controller's capacitors are powered up, so there's not a voltage difference across the 2 contacts of the contactor. If there were, when it slammed shut, it would arc because there's a voltage difference, and it would burn the contactor slightly every single time it went, eventually to the point where it either doesn't work anymore or it welds itself shut and doesn't turn itself off. So that ensures that they're equal. It just kind of trickle charges the controller, so the controller can't make anything turn. There's not nearly enough power for that, but it won't be at a difference when you turn the key on, so it won't arc and damage it each time.
Makes sense, yeah.
We also did have a diode across the right here across these contacts here, just per the
Oh, yeah, I
diagram.
see it. Yeah,
Kelly
yeah.
sends them with their controllers. So you just put the negative end of the diode attaches to the positive end of this ignition switch. So it should all work. Theoretically, we plug it in, nothing should blow up, and we should have the ability to start programming. Wasn't 100%, you never know for sure. There's so much
Yeah.
that could go wrong.
Yeah.
Or you only can be like 90% sure it's going to work any given time. So I
Yeah.
guess we'll find out.
Wiring is always kind of a mystery. Even though if you think it's wired perfectly, some little thing is holding up the whole system, or
A lot of things that could go wrong.
right. But if you know what you're doing and you know you did it right, chances are it's gonna spin first try.
Okay.
Oh,
So this is
dang.
powered. Nothing's showing anything phenomenally wrong yet.
Not yet.
This motor is different and this controller is different because it's sine cosine. With the Hall sensor one, you plug it in, you run an auto identification angle, and it's ready to program. This one you have to actually figure out some of the Hall line parameters. So what you do is you run a program, turn the motor a couple of times, and this is all outlined in I printed out the manual on the side there. But you turn the motor manually, and then it registers the high and the low Hall effect measurements, and then you can input those into the program when you start programming. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to effectively switch between the poles in the motor, and it won't get any power out of it. So it's got to know what those parameters are. So,
Yeah, super cool. I'm excited to learn how to do these types of motors. Because the hub motor was a huge learning experience, and it was super cool to dabble into the world of electric motorcycles like that.
and
But this
some
one is
some of these ones do program just like the hub motor. It's just this one's a sine cosine,
Right.
not a Hall sensor motor.
Right,
So they're
right.
quieter and more efficient. So I mean, they're better
Yeah.
motors and long term, but we're gonna see if we can figure out.
yeah, dude. I'm excited. This is the exciting time right here, man. This is where we've been, mostly Lord Kurt, this is where he's been working up to this point. Lots of welding, lots of fabrication and everything. And now all the components are in. I mean, he built that battery as well from scratch and everything as well. Motors in, everything. All the huge parts are pretty much done. So this is the moment of truth. All right. There's a little programming cable right there. Same thing as on the Chinese electric sport bike. It's the same thing, Kelly controller. And we'll see how close the app is, if it's the exact same or a little different.
This is the pre-app here.
Gotcha. So with this one, what are you
This is the
doing?
one where it determines the high and the low
Okay,
of the motor. Because if we opened it up right now, we
Gotcha.
could program it, sure, all we wanted to, but it wouldn't actually.
gotcha. You gotta run the calibration thing for it first.
Yeah, let me turn to the right page for that. Hall line 0 and Hall line amplitude, those are the two we need to figure out. So basically, where does it cross over at, and how much power does it have between those? Oh, we need to turn the ignition on.
Ah,
Nice.
oh dang,
So
I heard the
contactor's fully
solenoid.
set.
Yeah,
Let's just jump back onto this once we get it resolved.
sure, yeah. We'll figure out some stuff real quick and then bring you guys back. Oh yeah,
Response?
that's promising right
Sounds
there.
like it's staying on. Makes me wonder. Oh, alright, something weird.
Okay guys, so we didn't explain this, but the contactor was kind of opening and closing repeatedly, and it's not supposed to be doing that. So we're just trying to troubleshoot that really quick. Boy, Kurt, you want to explain the findings?
I don't know why it happened, but the battery voltage was down at 14 volts across the entire thing, which quite likely means the thing's ruined. I don't know where it lost it at. There's nothing in there that should have caused it to, nothing sparked. The only thing I can think of is the BMS was in there powered on the whole time, taking a little bit of power over the course of the 2 months it's been done, and it killed the whole thing. But I don't know.
Yeah, but
I didn't think it was charging, but apparently it's coming up to 19.2-ish right now. I'll show you. So it's rising. We'll see what happens. I mean, quite likely we're gonna need to do something about the battery at this point. We'll find out.
Yeah. Well, we were just in the heart attack moment where it, you know, Kurt wasn't being able to figure out what was happening with the contact or whatnot. He checked the battery voltage and it was at 14, and that definitely, like, you know, it just means like really bad things for the battery. We're really crossing our fingers.
It's probably not gonna hold, but we're gonna just charge it up and see. I mean, there's nothing else to do at this point. So we'll charge it and see where we're at.
That was kind of just an upsetting thing right when we were
excited about it almost gonna be working.
Yeah.
Finding out that the thing you built the first time, I don't know, in the first place, is already.
Yeah, because we just had the first signs of life. We clicked it, we heard the contactor, and then, you know, we thought we were gonna see it spinning, you know, 5 minutes after that, a couple minutes after that, but now we find this, and we're just crossing our fingers that at least we're able to test the bike or something with the same battery. But that would suck if we had to buy it and build a completely new one. But yeah, the whole system right now is being a little sus. So we're just hoping that the battery pack's not completely shot. But if it is, in the likely event that it is, we'll just have to figure out what we're gonna do from here. But that's where we're at. We thought for sure we would see this thing spinning, and, you know, next video we're gonna like reassemble and test and like make sure everything works and then powder coat. So we had like the whole plan of, you know, steps from here once we got the motor spinning and stuff, and we were not expecting this. You know what, let's just explain, just really quick recap what just happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Battery voltage was 14 when we saw it. So we couldn't get it to pull enough current to keep the contactor closed, so we kept flipping on and off, which is the problem we were seeing. Couldn't find any other issues, tested the voltage, that was the issue. Couldn't get it to charge because the BMS wouldn't power up through this charge port.
Because the voltage was way too low.
So it wasn't allowing any charge to go into it. So we had to start charging it through discharge. So I taped these little wires, you can see, like I taped them there and I taped them into different chargers. We started with a super small charger, worked our way up, and as the voltage increased, we kept switching which one was charging it. So we kept changing these wires in the next plug, the next plug, the next plug. Finally got to 84 volts. We could plug it in to discharge. The BMS powered up. Now we're charging with the normal charger. The BMS app is active.
Yep.
And it allows us to see individual cell voltages. They're currently up to 3 volts each as we're talking here, so they got 0.6 more to go. None of those cells were out of balance, they just all were dead.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I mean, there's obviously no short circuit. It would have a more catastrophic failure than this. It would, like, as soon as there was a little spark, it would melt whatever was going on. You'd have like the whole thing, you would know it was shorted.
For sure. Yeah.
So I don't know what caused it to discharge.
Yes.
Turn the battery.
It's a ghost, because they're like they can drain batteries when the apparitions physicalize. It was a ghost. It's a ghost. He drained the battery. A huge ghost. Huge ghost. Chills all up my arm right now, bro.
The back voltage is above 90. I'll tell you where it's at. My app says it's a little higher than it actually is, but we are at 92.7. So it's high enough to safely test things.
Good.
The battery, I mean, we're not going to run tons of power through it. I just want to at least see if I can get my 12 volt system to fire up and my ignition to sit the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
We could even start programming and doing some of that stuff if it all works out. Still in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking the battery might need to be rebuilt. We're going to need to run a cycle and see what happens.
Yep.
And there's no reason to scrap it before you know it's bad. And there's no harm to test it.
Right.
So we're going to at least give it a run through and see what happens.
Yep.
I don't know why it drained, but it self-discharged for some reason. It discharged the whole thing, not just like a cell degraded, the whole thing discharged.
That's the situation. I think though, for now, you know, for what happened and I think it's a better situation than we expected, because immediately our first thought was, crap, it's a bad battery now. Let's just basically start ordering a new one.
When it's not charging at all, you just...
Yeah, because this wasn't charging at all. It wasn't even, the BMS wasn't active, nothing. Yeah. And so when Kurt, you know, he really quick on his feet, just went, you know, charger to charger, got up to a voltage where the BMS would activate, and then it would let this charger actually charge the battery. So now here we are, it actually is charging up, and you know, it signs a life again for the battery.
The first time there's real power here. Okay. Now if I flip the switch, it should stay open.
That was way quicker on the, yeah, I think that's what happened, dude.
happened.
For sure what's happened,
We're
yeah.
gonna find out. I was like looking at it, I was like, I wired the diode incorrectly. That's sounding good. Theoretically
It did.
now, we should be able to program.
Okay, we're back at it.
That's where we should have been 3
Very
hours ago.
excited. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
We-
I'm just glad today we're where we are right now. You know, it could have been
worse.
way
3
worse.
hours ago, I was having a different picture in my mind of what this was going to be.
The program opened up.
Status success.
That
So
is
if I
awesome.
spin it, I should be able to. I mean, I'll have to follow the procedure, but the program did open. Let's get some chocolate milk.
Dude, let's get some chocolate milk. Come back at it.
So I'm going to turn it the way that the motor needs to spin.
105 and
105 and 204.
204.
That's the whole programming parameters that we've got for every single part of this bike. We're running the identification angle. Basically, it's just calibrating the motor so that it makes sure it's reading the position correctly.
Yep.
So we put 170, which tells it to run. I powered it off now. When I power this on, it should start to do some weird stuff, which it did.
That's a really loud sound. Oh, it's moving. Look at that.
Okay. So it's identifying itself.
That's a loud sound right there.
Well, it's fighting itself with electricity, so it's literally stalled out, basically trying to find the correct. It's finding the location of all of its sensors, basically. Self-learning. Looks like it's done.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did on the electric sport bike as well. The only difference is on the electric sport bike, this started beeping at me, telling me something was wrong. The identification angle test done, we can actually start throwing in the programming parameters. Nothing.
Oh, I'm gonna hang on.
No big deal, man. We did see it spin for the first time though, and we know it's all working. So that's all we were. I mean, that was our goal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for now,
It
yeah.
did spin. We said, get this thing to
It
spin.
did. Yes, that's exactly right. It spins. All right, guys, I think that's where we're gonna end it. We did have that heart attack scare at that, 4 hours ago. We were hoping we wouldn't have to end the episode there and then wait on batteries. Luckily, looks like it's gonna be, we're hoping it's gonna be okay, but for now, at least we can test out the bike. And we did see it spin today. We did the calibration, Lorker did the settings that we needed to program into it, and it's all looking really good so far. We do have to work out the throttle, same exact problem as on the Chinese electric sport bike, but just gotta figure out that wiring, and then it'll be good to go. So I'm super excited. We're both stoked on how it's coming along. Next, we're gonna be reassembling the bike and actually hoping to get it out, tested, tried and true, make sure everything holds up, how the bike is gonna sit, and basically then get it powder coated and everything after that. So that's still to come, guys. Thank you for joining. If you guys have any comments, definitely leave them down below, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.